Madam Speaker, this weekend the world watched in horror as the retreat of Russian forces from the town of Bucha revealed the scope of the appalling war crimes committed by Vladimir Putin's military. Journalists in the Ukrainian military discovered mass graves, bodies left in the streets, and the evidence of a massacre of civilians. These are war crimes. We know now with certainty what fate awaits Ukrainians who are subjected to Russian occupation. The United States must open its doors to welcome Ukrainians who are fleeing this invasion. As co-chair of the Congressional Ukraine Caucus early on in the conflict, I and others called on the Biden administration to extend temporary protected status to Ukrainians already in the United States. I was proud when the President heeded that call and when he subsequently increased the refugee cap. We must do everything in our power to accept fleeing refugees expeditiously. This is a matter of life and death. Over 4 million refugees have already fled the violence in Ukraine. Half of those refugees are children. Millions more remain trapped in cities and villages without access to food, clean water, or medical care. And we know now what Putin's military is willing to slaughter any innocents left behind. It is absolutely critical that the U.S. do everything in its power to assist the people of Ukraine. This means military assistance, yes, but it also means providing for Ukrainians who make the difficult decision to leave their homes behind. We must support the nations that are already taking in refugees. Allies like Poland have already admitted more than 2 million Ukrainian refugees into their nation. And we should ensure that Poland and other countries that have opened their doors are able to help these Ukrainians resettle safely. This also means continuing to investigate the reports of refugees of color being turned away at border crossings. Here in the U.S., we have a long history as a safe harbor for people of the world. It has been inspiring to see Americans offer unwavering support for Ukraine from the outset of the Russian invasion. I am confident that this support will mean Americans will rally together to support any Ukrainian refugees who arrive on their shores. As they do, Congress has an opportunity to reform our immigration system to be more welcoming to individuals around the world who are in need. I share the outrage of my constituents who are watching what is unfolding in Ukraine. As an advocate for Ukrainians here at home and abroad, I am also reminded that there are other atrocities occurring around the world. We can and must extend the same outrage we have for the crimes in Bucha to the crimes in Syria, the conflict in Tigray, the famine in Yemen, and the violence in the Northern Triangle. And just as we open our doors to Ukrainian refugees, we can and must open our doors to refugees from around the world. In recent weeks, I have urged the Biden administration to end Title 42. This policy allowed the U.S. to use the pandemic as justification for expelling migrants without a hearing before an immigration judge. The administration just announced last week that they intend to end this policy. One immediate effect will be that Ukrainians arriving at our borders will be able to seek asylum more easily. But critically, it also means that migrants from the global South will no longer be stranded in the immigration process. The federal government should seek out other avenues in which providing recourse for Ukrainians will make our system more equitable for all immigrants. Since the beginning of the pandemic, foreign citizens seeking entry into the U.S. have faced months-long waits for consular appointments. That backlog now threatens to prevent fleeing Ukrainians from reaching our shores. The lengthy immigrant visa delays have caused many Ukrainians to turn to non-immigrant visas so they can reach temporary safety with family or friends in the U.S. Yet as Ukrainians and other foreign citizens have been increasingly forced to utilize non-immigrant visas, wait times have drastically increased. Reporting last month showed that wait times in Hungary, 275 days, Moldova, 329 days. On February 28th, the wait in Warsaw, Poland was 86 days. 2 days later, the wait was 134 days for visitor visas and more than 40 days for other types. I sincerely hope the State Department finds a way to dramatically increase processing times for Ukrainians who have fled their homelands. But we cannot simply prioritize Ukrainian cases and leave all others behind. These wait times impact immigrants, refugees, and asylum seekers from around the world. Ukrainians are not the only one whose lives are in danger. The tragedy in Ukraine has shown a bright spotlight on the need for our entire immigration system to be more inclusive. Congress cannot allow this moment to pass without finally addressing the flaws in our system. Too many lives hang in the balance for us to do nothing. And I yield back.